the way we ended up on the farm is really pretty unusual, or maybe not so unusual these days. We grew up in the 1980s, and when the first Farm Aid happened, we were both in high school, and Jody was a farm kid, but nobody at that time was telling people to stay on the farm. If you had the chance, if you had other opportunities, that was what people were telling us to do, and so we did.
Like Beth said, I remember Farm Aid. I was in high school, and it was something that was affecting farmers around our area. Fortunately, our family farm was not affected. It didn't have huge debt loads and that sort of thing that some of the other farmers had. Like Beth said, we both went off to college and careers when we started our lives together. After spending several years in the Intermountain West in Salt Lake City, we felt a longing to get back to friends and family and kind of our roots. So we moved back to the Chicago area. Beth was working in technology and ended up working for Arthur Andersen, the accounting firm. I worked for Allstate. We were in professional careers. She worked as a professional skills trainer. I was in technology, doing software testing, that sort of thing. And in 2002, an event that was kind of rocked the accounting world was the Enron scandal, and Arthur Andersen as a entity went away. And at the time, Beth had like the ideal working mom career. She worked about 2/3 time, had full benefits, nearly full salary, could work from home, that sort of thing. And that job went away. At the time, I was considering going back to school for an MBA or something, some sort of career change. And a lot of things kind of fell into place. This farmhouse that's in the background here, that belongs to my folks, had just been remodeled, and they were gonna rent it out. And we happened to be home taking my mom out for Mother's Day, and she made the offhand comment, "Gee, it sure would be nice to have you kids closer to home." And on the car ride back with our young son, and actually was Duncan a baby at the time?
We had two little ones. Our second had just been born, so we had a 3-year-old and a newborn, and the discussion just started. And how could we do that? How could we come back home, and what would that mean? And we had always talked about maybe moving back out to the farm someday, when we retire or when the kids are old enough. And after talking about it for a while, we decided that someday was now, and that the kids probably wouldn't thank us if we uprooted them from their suburban lives in 10 years. So it was a great time to make the move. But we knew we couldn't go back and farm the way that Jody's parents farmed. We didn't have the capital to invest in a big grain operation. So we did some research, and that led us to the CSA model, Community Supported Agriculture. When we started our farm, there were no other CSAs operating in LaSalle County. I think it was the following year that the next one came along.
Actually, there was another CSA that started the same year, but our delivery started a couple of weeks before there. So we claim the first CSA in LaSalle County. And at the time, we were surrounded by a sea of corn and soybeans, and very, very little animal agriculture at this point. And it took actually a couple of years for us to connect with the other CSA in the area.
CSA has gotten hugely more well-known in the past 13 years, both for vegetables, and it's expanded now into lots of other areas, like meat, for example. But it's still a relatively small market. Not everyone understands the way it works, or not everyone's comfortable with the way it works. Some people love it. We've had members say it's like Christmas every week because I get this surprise, and it's wonderful. And other people say I can't make what I want to make because I don't have the groceries that I need. So it's not a fit for everyone, but for those people who like it, it's terrific.
We like to say or we often say that education is more than half our jobs, and that's what is CSA. There's a very small fraction of the populace that actually knows about community-supported agriculture. It might, and also, what does sustainability mean? That's another big question. What is local? Is another one. So, and there's a vast spectrum of meaning there, and the thing we strive to do is just be transparent and open with what we do and why and how that affects not only our family but the members of our CSA and our SHARE program.
Our opening line whenever we're meeting people, whether that's at a farmer's market or a fair or in any sort of situation where people, we want people to know who we are. We'll say, are you familiar with CSA, Community Supported Agriculture? And if they say no, we'll say, it's the idea of farmers and consumers partnering together. You know where your food comes from, and we have an economic model that lets us plan. So we know that we are going to have a certain amount of sales when we commit to growing the food. And so that sort of opens up the discussion. What does it mean to know where your food comes from? And as Jody said earlier, transparency is really important to us. People ask us questions about sustainability, about organics, about GMOs, and we do our best to educate. We do a lot of conversation, a lot of back and forth with consumers. And we're a tiny farm. We're not the right farm for everybody, but we are the right farm for a lot of people, and we produce a product that we're really proud of. And so we're always really happy to tell people about that and to educate them. And on a broader scale, we work with some other organizations. Jody's been really instrumental in founding an organization called Band of Farmers, which is a CSA coalition. We hope eventually all of the CSAs who are selling into the Chicagoland area will join, will work together. It's co-opetition.
Primarily our delivery hosts are wine and cheese shops in the city and suburbs. We also do a delivery at the farmer's market, and basically we give out a share bag that has a selection of beef, chicken, pork, and eggs from our hens. And if for some reason somebody doesn't pick up, we return it to our freezer. So that value isn't being lost, because it's about $100 of retail value each month that somebody is picking up, and nobody wants to drop a C note. You know, they wouldn't return to us as a customer if that was just a loss. If somebody doesn't pick up without notifying us a couple of times, we do add a charge for restocking and our trouble. But we're different than a vegetable CSA, and it's one of our lines at the, when we're talking about that. Unlike a weekly box of fresh produce, it's a monthly share of frozen meats. As far as our backgrounds affecting our businesses, we are good communicators, and we're comfortable getting out in front of people, and that's become even more important since we've transitioned from doing a vegetable CSA, is how we started, to doing meat and eggs, because when we're at the farmer's market or delivering, it's all closed up, and our meat's in white paper, so there's nothing to see. And like at the farmer's market, we don't have a display. We don't have beautiful red and green and purple tomatoes and greens and pretty flowers and that sort of thing. It's a conversation. So the communication piece is really important. Beth has been our webmaster from the very beginning, and we've done upgrades to the website, about every couple of years. And we use a contact manager, send out regular electronic newsletters and that sort of thing. So a lot of that, we're farming more like my grandparents' generation, in that we're growing food for our friends and neighbors and providing that to them direct to the consumer. but we're also using more 21st century technology to make that happen. A couple of years ago, we finally broke down and got a smartphone, and that's been really good for our business because our delivery spreadsheet, we just open that up, and as people pick up, we check off that they've come, and that's seamless. It goes to our home computer, and we can reconcile that each month. We use the little square reader to take payments, and we swipe it, and the next business day we're getting a deposit. So it's not just, we're not Luddites, we're not back to the land and less technology, but at the same time, we are honoring the tradition and some of the values of like our grandparents' generation. And we do things a lot differently than a lot of the conventional farmers, especially in the meat production.
The other farmers in the band of farmers, the CSA coalition, they're all just as good at it as we are. Maybe better, probably better. Farming right now, I think the future of farming is really dependent on merging those traditional skills that Jody was talking about, farming the way our grandparents farmed, raising a variety of food, raising real food and selling it directly to consumers, and blending that with the technology that our generation and even more so our kids' generations are comfortable with and part of their lives. I have no doubt that there's going to be somebody out there before long creating an app for a CSA and doing all of these fantastic things, because that's who we are. We grew up at least beginning to use technology. Our kids think that we don't know how to program the VCR, but all of the farmers involved are doing similar things to what we are doing. So we are working together to build that communication. Some people are better at growing flowers. Some people are better at growing beautiful peppers. Some people are better at building databases. And we collaborate and we learn from each other. People ever really share the same database, because in a sense we are still competitors. I mean, we each have our own customers, and the idea of the Band of Farmers isn't to take away anybody's customers or to take away anybody's autonomy. The goal of the Band of Farmers is to, where it makes sense to cooperate, where it makes sense to educate consumers, we're going to work together. But we're all still independent businesses who are running our own show, and everybody has their own flavor, everybody has their own style, everybody has their own goals for their CSAs.
And regarding the farmers in the Band of Farmers, or if you go to your farmers market and see some of these innovative growers, if you strike up a conversation with them and you ask them what they did before they started farming, you're going to get a lot of really amazing answers. Just at the Logan Square Farmers Market, there's a classically trained Shakespearean actor who is now a tremendous vegetable farmer. And you'll find that throughout CSAs, people who were in technology, people who were in law, people who, one of our very good friends who's a great farmer in Northern Illinois, David Cleverdon, was a political consultant for many, many years before he moved to the farm, and he's one of the suppliers of some of the best restaurants throughout the city of Chicago with fruit, with vegetables and greens. He's brought seed from Italy for arugula and that sort of thing. But his career was in politics. So it's the really exciting thing about agriculture is it's not just people going into it with a traditional farming background, although we need those people, and they're smart, and unfortunately, a lot of times in our area, kids in the Future Farmers of America egg programs and that sort of thing, they're being encouraged to go in, not into farming, but into agribusiness. They're the farm team for DuPont and Monsanto and Syngenta and a lot of these Kraft Foods, Tyson, the protein company of the United States, which controls huge amounts and is very anti-competitive. But that's where they draw their employees from, is hardworking farm kids or people from farming communities. And what we need to make farming a profession that smart people can go into and make a good living and be seen as the same type of professional as an accountant or a doctor or a lawyer. I'm a farmer and I'm proud of it.